Hey everybody, it's Tox from critshappen.com. Thanks for watching and welcome back. As you may be able to tell by some of the stuff that's around me, our game room is an absolute wreck. In fact, it looks like something's exploded in here. We are unfortunately doing a lot of work on our flooring, and it has caused us to basically shove like 4 rooms into one room and live in a very adventurous way. So I apologize about some of the surroundings. But the good thing is that even though our area for gaming may be completely haphazardly destroyed, there's a lot of places in Austin, Texas where we live to go do gaming out in public. There's places like Wonko's Toys and Games, Emerald Tavern, Dragon's Lair, Tribes Comics and Games. There's so many different places, which makes it a lot of fun. And recently, I want to talk today about a game we're going to do a critical strike on that we have been playing the bejesus out of. And it is called Colt Express. Now, Colt Express is a scheming and stealing type game that's going to take place on a train. And I literally mean on a train. You're going to be one of these characters that is a bandit that is trying to rob the most money from the train, whether it be purse bags filled with money or gems, or the ultimate goal, the briefcase up in the conductor's area at the front of the train. There's going to be multiple different ways to grab as much cash as possible. But as you can imagine, the other bandits are not going to let you do that as easily as you think it'll be. They're going to be punching you, and they're going to be shooting you, trying to slow you down and take your loot. So, come with me, grab your 6-shooter, and grab your fastest horse, and let's jump into the world of Colt Express. Alright, say hello to Colt Express. This is a setup for a 4-player game of Colt Express. Now, each player is individual, meaning that they have their own color and their own abilities. So for example, Ghost has the ability to play his first card face down each turn. Django has the ability that when he shoots someone, he could push them into another car. So if somebody is in this car and gets shot by Django in this car, he could push them all the way back to this car. And we'll show that in a little bit. Cheyenne has the ability to pick up something that she has just punched out of your possession. And Tuco is the only smart one of the group because he's the only one that realizes he can point his gun up or down and fire up to the roof or down into a car. Now, the way the game is played is you set up the train with 1 car for each player. And each car tells you exactly what needs to go in them. So this one is going to have 3 of these purses. This one is going to have 1. This is going to have 1 and 1 gem. This one's going to have 3 purses and 1 gem. And this one has the Marshall and the $1,000 briefcase. Now each player is going to start with $250, and that's going to be face down. So while everyone knows that everyone has 1 purse, as time goes on, you're going to be able to potentially steal things from other players, and we're going to have to figure out what is what by only that player knowing the value. So we'll go through and show you a little bit of setup here and how things work. Let's say that Tuco is going to be the first player. Well, the odd number players start in the caboose. So that means Tuco is 1, Django is 2, Ghost is 3. So Ghost and Tuco start in this caboose area. Then the even number players start in the next car forward. So Django and Cheyenne are going to start up here. Now, let's talk a little bit about each player's deck and cards and show you a little bit about what the cards are going to do and how they're going to manipulate the meeples and the Marshall and what's going to happen throughout gameplay. So this is a player's deck. They start with 2 move left or right, 2 move up and down, 2 robberies, 2 gunfires, 1 punch, and 1 Marshall. Everyone's going to shuffle their cards and make a deck out of these. Now, it's really simple. If I play the move left or right, my guy is going to move left or right on whatever level he is on. So if I played the move left or right with Tuco, he would move from this card to this card. The other thing you can do is move up or down. So the move up or down allows you to go onto the roof. Now you may ask yourself, why would you go onto the roof? Well, there's a lot of reasons. We'll get into that in a second. The robbery is really simple. If there is something on the floor in the level that you're on, you pick it up and put it onto your player card. Now you as a player are allowed to look at that value, but no one else is. Shooting is really, really fun and a big predominant part of the game. Shooting means that you actually take one of your bullets and put it on top of one of your opponent's decks. If you're able to shoot all 6 of your bullets, you get to flip over your card and you're going to get a $1,000 bonus for being a gunslinger, which is really cool. but really hard because you're only going to have 5 rounds in a game to shoot all 6 of your bullets. Next, you could punch someone. Punching someone is really simple. If someone else is in your level on the roof or in the car you're in, you punch them and they drop one of their loot tokens that they are holding. So if Tuco played this punch card, he would punch Ghost and Ghost would drop his purse token onto that floor. And then finally there's the Marshal card. And the Marshal card is really simple. You take the Marshal and you move him left or right in either direction. Now, if you're in the conductor's position, you can't move off the train to the front, and if you're in the caboose position, you can't move off the train to the back. However, the Marshal can never go on the roofs. Now, if the Marshal is moved into a car that has people in it, or if someone else is forced into a car that has the Marshal in it, they immediately gain one of these blank generic bullets, and they go to the roof of the car, so they could be pushed around as well. Now, there's a lot of different things involved in the gameplay. Most noticeably is the shooting. When you shoot someone, you can only shoot inside of the train from one car to another. So, if Django, for example, wanted to shoot Cheyenne, he couldn't because they're in the same car. But he could shoot Doc or Tuco. If Cheyenne moved, then Django could shoot Cheyenne, which is really good. Now, if she moves here, Django could shoot her and push her back because of his ability. He has an ability that lets him move people whenever he shoots them. However, because you're inside the train, you can only shoot one car at a distance. So if Cheyenne was all the way up here, Django could not shoot her being that far away. So why is the roof important? Well, the roof is unlimited range. If both Django and Cheyenne are up on the roof, they can shoot each other in a straight line. However, it doesn't matter about range, but it does matter about line of sight. If Doc is up here, Doc is caught in the crossfire. Django cannot shoot Cheyenne, Cheyenne cannot shoot Django, but both of them can shoot Doc. Ghost, excuse me. But thankfully, Ghost can shoot both of them as well. Now, let's take a second and we'll show you a little bit about the round cards and a little bit about the gameplay. So you may be asking yourself, what does all this matter? I could just use whatever the smartest card is for me at this time and play that card, right? Well, that's not how Colt Express is played. You'll notice there are these round cards and a stop card. Now, there are also cards that say 5 and 6 on them. You'll see that these say 2 to 4 and these say 5 to 6. So as you get more players, there's different round cards involved. There's also 3 different stop cards. What's going to happen is at the beginning of each turn, you're going to flip over one of these cards. And you're going to see that in this round, we have 4 different turns. One of them puts us in a tunnel, which is going to be really, really exciting. Now, this one is a bad one to get on the very first turn because this ability is the swing arm ability. What this ability says is that anyone who's on the roof gets moved back to the caboose. So at the beginning of the game, no one's on the roof, so no one's going to get moved back to the caboose. However, it does mean we're going to have one full round where everyone's card is going to be face down. Now, what does that mean? Well, this is played out a la Robo Rally. You're going to be programming, and let's show you how that gets done. Okay, so we know that we're going to have 4 turns. We know that the second turn is going to have a card played face down from everyone, and we know that Ghost has the ability to put his first card in the first round face down, or first turn face down. So what's going to happen at the very beginning is each player is going to start in order. And we said that Tuco is the first player, so let's start with Tuco and see where this goes. Tuco is going to get aggressive, and he's going to immediately say that he's going to move the Marshal. He has to play that card face up, and then Django would go ahead and play second. Well, Django's going to say, you know what, there's only one thing in this car where I am with Cheyenne, so I think I want to pick that one up immediately. So he's going to play that on top of it like that. Then Ghost is going to go. And now Ghost could really change things up because Ghost gets to play his card face down. And you're not sure what that's going to be. He could be shooting someone. He could be punching someone. He could be picking something up. You never know. Then Cheyenne is going to go. And Cheyenne is going to say, well, if you're going to start moving the Marshal, I'm going to want to be able to move the Marshal as well. And since I think that the Django player is picking that up and not going to have anything there for me, I may very well go ahead and move the Marshal as well. Although, and remind you, this is the only way you can choose these cards is from the 6 cards you have in your hand, Cheyenne may also say, I would rather punch Django for picking that up because I'm just so mad at him for doing that. Now, once each player has played a card, that's the end of the first turn. The second turn now starts, but these cards stay out. The second card is blind because you'll see we're in a tunnel, and that means that everyone gets to play face down. So now goes back to Tuco, and Tuco is going to play his cards face down. Tuco will play his action face down. Django is going to play his action face up. Or sorry, face down. Sorry, that was a mistake. Just like Rado. There we go. All right, that was Jen. Jen made that mistake. All right, Ghost is then going to play, and he gets to play his face down as well. And then Cheyenne is going to play, and Cheyenne is going to play hers face down as well. Now we go into the third turn, and everyone is going to play face up. Now Tuco doesn't like his cards. Tuco has 4 cards left. And he is not very happy with his choices. So he is actually going to draw 3 cards, 1, 2, 3, from his deck as his action. So you can do that in addition to playing a card. So that means he's going to have more cards to choose from on that last turn. So now Django gets to go, and Django is going to play his face up, because remember we're out of the tunnel now, and he's going to play his face up, and he's going to move. Then Ghost is going to move. Now this is Ghost's first card that is going to be face up. He got to play his first one face down, he got to play his second one face down, and now his third one is going to be face up. He sees that the Marshal was moved, and he decides, I'm going to try and move the Marshal as well. Then Cheyenne is going to go, and Cheyenne is going to shoot, and that's going to get some dangerous stuff. Now we're on to the last turn of this round. So we go back to Tuco, and Tuco says that he too is going to fire. He's got his gun out as well. Django is then going to go ahead and move as well, and he is going to move, or no, not punch, sorry. He is going to move up to the roof. And then Ghost is going to play his final card, and Ghost is going to fire. And then Cheyenne is going to play her final card, and Cheyenne is going to fire as well. So we are going to have a ton of bullets flying around this train already. So now that we've all gone through and played this round, this card gets flipped over. We usually like to go like this with it. And the first player, Tuco, takes all of these cards and keeps them in this order and flips them face down. And one by one, we're going to reveal what happens. So here we go. This is Colt Express at its finest. The first card is moving the Marshal. Now remember, some of these we know and some of them we don't know. Now the Marshal, again, can only move left or right. He can't move up or down. And since he's in the conductor's front of the train, he's going to have to move into this cabin. There's no one else in that cabin, so nothing else happens. So that's really good. This goes back to Django and Tuco and goes on his deck. The next card is stealing. Django is going to steal that purse, and he's going to look at it and see that it's $300. So he now has $550, and he's winning. And that goes back to Django's deck. Ghost's card face down was firing, so he is shooting. Now, he can't shoot Tuco in the same car, but he can shoot either Django or Cheyenne in the next car. He decides that he's worried about Django because he just picked up that money, so he is actually going to take his 6th bullet and put it on top of Django's deck. That is going to be important because in the next and future rounds, Django is going to have that card to potentially draw, and if he draws it, it doesn't do anything for him. So this goes back to Ghost, and then we move on to the next card, which is Cheyenne punching Django. Now, punching normally means that one of these gets put face down back on the floor of where you punch someone. However, Cheyenne's ability means that she can actually pick up the one she wants. So these would get moved around, jumbled around on Django's card, and then one of them would go to Cheyenne. And then she could see that she got the $300 one, so she's got $550 right now, which is a really great ability. So that goes back to Cheyenne, and now we're back to Tuco. Tuco is going to rob, so he's going to take one of these and get a $500 purse, and again, only he knows that, which is great, and this goes back to him. And then we're into all these face-down cards now. So now the Marshal is being moved by Django, so he's going to move one more closer to all the bandits. And that goes back to Django. Ghost is going to pick up, so he's going to grab one of the purses on his floor as well, which is a $300 purse. And then Cheyenne is going to move the Marshal as well. Now, this is interesting. Cheyenne could move him into her car, and then each Cheyenne and Django would get a blank bullet card, one of these. She doesn't like that idea, though, so she wants to get the Marshal as far away from her as possible. So she's going to move the Marshal all the way back over there. Now we get into the next set of cards, and you remember, this is not a Tuco card because Tuco actually took an action in the third turn of the round to draw cards and not have to play a card. So, Django is moving. So Django is going to move to the right. Then, the next action is Ghost, and Ghost chose the Marshal. Now, this was a bit of a gamble, but it paid off. He's going to move the Marshal into this train with Django, which means Django is going to get one of these blank bullets. So now Django's been shot twice, once with Ghost Bullet and once with the generic bullet. And he is forced onto the roof. And this is really big because if Django had any plans to do anything, like, maybe he thought this was going to happen and he was going to try and get back down or move over or things like that, even if he was going to pick something up, he can't get back into that car with the Marshal there. So that was a really good move by Ghost. Next up is Cheyenne. Cheyenne is shooting. Now, shooting again is important because you can't shoot the Marshal. As much as you may want to, and as bad of a guy as he may be, you can't shoot the Marshal. So Cheyenne can shoot either Ghost or Tuco. Both Ghost and Tuco have two different purses, and she doesn't know who has the most. But since Ghost has been doing a lot of aggressive stuff, she's going to shoot Ghost. So she's going to take her 6th bullet and put that on top of Ghost's deck. Then the next card comes out, and that is going to be Tuco shooting. Now, Tuco can only shoot one person, which is Cheyenne. So he gives her his 6th bullet, and that goes in her deck, and this comes back to Tuco. Then Django moves, and Django picked the ability to move up or down. He thought that someone might be moving that Marshal around, and he thought that maybe someone might move him again and get him out of the way. He takes the action and comes down into here, but since the Marshal is there, he's forced to take a blank generic bullet and put that on his deck, and ends up back on top of the roof. So this is turning into a really rough round for Django. So that's going to go back to Django. And then the next one is Ghost shooting. Now, Ghost doesn't like the fact that Cheyenne shot him. So Ghost is going to take one of his cards and shoot Cheyenne as well. So that gets a bullet onto Cheyenne's deck. Then the last card played is Cheyenne shooting. And she says, you know what? I'm tired of this. I'm shooting you back as well. So she takes her 5th bullet and gives that to Ghost, and that goes on his deck. So now, at the end of round 1, we've had a few things picked up. We have a lot of people shooting bullets. Both Ghost and Cheyenne have shot twice. Django hasn't shot once, and he's been filled full of lead. From here, everyone takes their deck and reshuffles their cards. Now this means that those bullets are in their decks, and if they draw them, they're going to have blank cards they're not going to be able to play. And that is why being able to draw 3 cards is so important. But as you can see, there's a ton of dynamics that happens inside of this. Am I going to be able to move? Is that Marshal going to be in my way? Is someone going to shoot me? What's the next card going to be from an ability standpoint? There's all different things that could happen. There's ways to speed up the train and play 2 cards at once. There are ways to have switching where you'll change the order of the round in which people play. And of course, there's bullets flying everywhere. That is Colt Express. So that is Colt Express. What can I say about Colt Express? Colt Express is amazing. It is a really, really ridiculously fun game. Now, it's a game that can get chaotic, and that's why I use the word ridiculous. It is very, you look at it and you think to yourself, okay, I know what these cards are. I know how this is going to happen. He's going to move here. He's going to move there. She's going to shoot him. He's going to punch me. I'm going to pick that up. You understand how it's going to unfold. But because of the way the rounds are structured, and because there's some cards that go face down and some cards that go face up, and then you have Ghost's ability where he can put something face down all the time at the beginning of each round, it just gets chaotic, and it becomes chaos that normally I don't like, but chaos that turns into fun. And that's been the most impressive thing to me. When it comes to chaotic type games, I don't usually become a fan of them, and I don't really like them because I like to be able to plan my strategies and see it and act. The fun thing about Colt Express, as you can see from some of the footage we've shared with you, it is really fun to play. It is fun to see those moments where you think you had everything planned out and then everything goes disastrously wrong just because of one card. I love the fact that you can shoot other people and fill them full of lead literally by giving them your bullet cards, or running them into the marshal and getting generic bullet cards and basically slowing them down. I think they did a really good job of how that works. And honestly, at the end of the day, it's on a 3D train. That's pretty cool. This is one of the more unique components of a game that I've seen in a while, and I really like what they've done with it. It looks like a train, it feels like a train, it can like angle itself and turn itself, and it's super fun. Which leads me to believe that somewhere in the future they need to do some type of deluxe edition that actually has a little round train set and the train going around as your characters are moving. That would be pretty fun. But at the end of the day, it's a really cool game to just enjoy. And the best part about this game is that even with 5 and 6 players, you can be done in 40 to 45 minutes. And that boggles my mind. Because normally a 6-player game is like an hour to an hour and a half, no matter what type of game you're playing. And this really has done a great job of getting all of the good things about programming games and condensing them into what makes it most fun. And the results are a blast to watch. Once you build out that deck, everyone takes it, or the first player takes it and starts flipping each person's card over, and it's like, no, you punched me, oh man. And you know, somebody will flip over a card that was played face down, and there's that exciting moment of you get shot, or you move out of the way and someone else gets shot, and it just provides a really great experience sitting around the table. The other thing that makes this game a real gem, in my opinion, is that it is a game that you can teach really, really quickly. You probably take maybe 5 minutes to teach someone, here's how you use your bullets, here's how you use your deck, and here's what each card means, and you're off and running. Now, while the deck looks kind of big when you start out, you actually have multiples of some cards. You have multiple moves, you have multiple pickups, you have multiple shoots, so there's really not many abilities to learn. Now, I can tell you, getting to the front of the train and getting the briefcase is not always easy. It takes some planning and it takes some time. The round cards and how they interact are great as well. They provide little tiny bumps in the road, so to speak, that will change dynamics and change how you play. And the thing that I've liked about that is we've been able to, because this game is so quick, we've been able to play it multiple times in a row, and we've been able to play it with the exact same characters and the exact same number of people, and you just change up those round cards, and it totally changes the game, which has been a super blast. So at the end of the day, I have loved, and I don't use that word very much, I have loved Colt Express. My only challenge that I found with Colt Express is I really enjoy it with 3 or more players. With 2 players, it's not quite as fun. There's a little bit of a wonky dynamic of each player controlling 2 different characters, and it just doesn't seem quite as enjoyable. It's still fun, the mechanics are still there, and it does still work, but this game is really better with more people. 5 and 6, it is absolutely great. 3 and 4, it is a total blast. With 2, just not quite as fun as I wish it could be, but it is still enjoyable. And again, at the end of the day, you're riding around on a 3D train. How much fun is that? So, that is Colt Express. We definitely recommend to go check it out, but we'd love to hear your opinions as well. Let us know. Leave us comments on the YouTube channel below. You can always join in on Facebook and Twitter by searching Crits Happen, or you can join us at our homepage at critshappen.com. But until I see you next time, I hope you have fun shooting all of your opponents full of lead in this and whatever other games you decide to play. Thanks for watching. Keep rolling those dice, and we hope they're all crits.